Alright, today we're making beef stew. First thing we're going to do is get some oil going in this pan so that we can brown the meat. I like to use olive oil. Gives it a nice flavor. So we'll let this sit here on about a 4. So we don't want to get it too hot. And then the next thing we want to do is crush up some garlic. I like a broad knife. Makes it easier to cut, easier to crush it up. Just with the palm of my hand. These are rather small garlic cloves. They came out of our garden. A little bit of pressure and you hear a snap. And they are getting crushed. It makes them easier just to peel it. And I throw them into the pan directly like this. I don't bother chopping them up much more. And they'll end up in the stew. They flavor the oil and will flavor the meat as it browns up. Just break it in half. Nothing special. If you have really big cloves, you only want to use a couple. Unless you really like garlic, and I guess you can go to town on it. You want to make sure you take the paper part off though, because that's not real pleasant to eat. Not more than about 2 cloves of garlic is all you need there. And we'll just let that get all warm and toasty. Now, when we finished cutting up this meat, I trimmed a lot of it. This was a sirloin steak, a couple of pounds worth. I trim the big pieces of fat away, not the smaller ones. You'll need those because it will help with the tenderizing. And I just use kitchen shears. These are made by Coleman. I like them because they break apart. Great for going in the dishwasher, then getting really clean when you're done. And that was what I cut off of it. Now this beef stew is going to go in the crock pot. So what we want to do is we're going to want to brown it. And to brown it, we need to make sure we coat it a little. We might as well add some flavor as we coat. So add a little more ground pepper and a little bit of salt into about 3/4 of a cup of flour. And I like to add a little bit of onion powder. Not more than about a 1/2 teaspoon here at the very most. Whatever looks good to you. So I guess it's good to stir this up a little. And we'll put, 1/3 to 1/2 of it in. And then we'll put some meat in. Just use a clean bag of some sort. You don't want to use the one that maybe the newspapers came in or something, because those are going to have newsprint in them, and don't think that would be terribly tasty. I have these bags on hand I put homemade bread in. You can use a Ziploc bag, whatever works for you. Put the rest of that meat in there. Put the rest of the flour in. Make sure you get some air in there so you get a nice bubble, and then shake it up. You want to make sure that all the pieces are well coated, and all the flour is going to end up going in the pan. See, the garlic is beginning to sizzle here a little bit. And let's make sure this pan is well coated. We're just going to put the whole contents in, and it will take a few minutes to brown up. And I like putting all the flour in because it helps to make kind of a roux for my stew. Spread this out. And these will be nice and brown shortly. We'll keep an eye on them and we'll stir them periodically. And they'll be nice. Okay. Now previously I have cut up 2 onions in about 1/8 and 5 carrots, and we like celery in our stew, so 2 to 3 inch slices of celery, and there's 3 stalks here. Add a little more or a little less as you like. I don't put potato in my beef stew. I think the starchiness is a little too much for what we like to taste. All right, next thing we're going to do, we've been working about 10 minutes here off camera, browning up the meat. We're going to put the veggies into the crock pot. Put them in on the bottom. Spread them out a little bit there because we want the harder consistency things on the bottom. They'll take a little longer to cook and they'll have more juices to cook in. Now we have the meat, which our goal was not to cook it. So you say, hey, it looks a little red. That's okay. It's not to cook it, just to brown it. Help give it some flavor. And we are going to now put the meat in. Because you're putting hot in with cold like this, I would not recommend this recipe to be time delayed at all. Just put it in and we're going to start it up to cook. You could, if you wanted to, set the meat up the night before and brown it. And then just put the whole thing together in the morning if you cut up veggies. Now, next thing we're going to do is, I like this beef stew mix, Kroger brand, purchased at King Soopers. It's got seasonings in it, the family likes it, it's easy. It's one of the few things I purchase in a mix. Of course the key is getting it out of the container. There you go, you like that? So sprinkle it across the top. It's generous amounts. And then it calls for approximately 3 cups of water. And that's what we have here in my Pyrex cups. I'm going to pour that over the top. The idea is that, yeah, we're going to get some of that seasoning down into the veggies below. And this is what's going to help to cook our vegetables because it's all done by conduction of heat. Set up this crock pot and we're going to put it on low, and it's about 20 minutes to 10 in the morning. So by 6:30 this evening we're going to be all set. Okay, well, it's now just after 6 and the stew appears to be done. Stir it up. Stirred it a couple of times during the day today. Sizzle you hear is I've got some water leaking onto the kettle. So we've got rice coming too. So that's our stew, and it was that simple to make.